When it comes to animated content, there are two things that I really love to consume, and they are analog horror along with PSA styled videos. So anytime I get the pleasure of watching a video that combines the two, it's a really good day. Now, one of my viewers, Berry and Smile Inc., commented on my video about The Hunt Among the Green and recommended that I check out the short titled The Mysterious House. This is one they felt reminded them a lot of The Hunt Among the Green in the sense that they are both analog horror that follow the same like stranger danger PSA vibe. I also want to say before continuing that if you have a recommendation that is animated related or animation related and seems like something I would like, feel free to recommend it down in the comments. If I have the time, I will definitely try to look into it. So whether it be you wanting me to discuss it, to react to it, whatever it may be, feel free to let me know in the comments. Now, going into this short film, I wasn't exactly sure what to expect, but goodness, I really liked it, and I was genuinely scared by the end of it. So, The Mysterious House starts off like a children's programming series titled Ducky and Tammy. Now, there's always going to be something really interesting about analog horror that imitates children's programming, and in my opinion, I feel like these make some of the most scary analog horror videos, but that's just me. Anyway, I'm not exactly sure why, but the fact that there were two characters this time around made me feel a little bit more hopeful for their safety throughout this video. But unfortunately, I would soon find out that sometimes our friends can be our biggest opt, and it's a bit easier for them to pressure us into doing things that we don't always want to do. Now, in the short The Mysterious House, we follow the characters named Ducky and Tammy out on Halloween night trick-or-treating for some goodies. Unfortunately, the duo isn't very successful in their candy looting, and while Ducky wants to call it a night, Tammy is convinced that there is more candy to be had out there somewhere, and essentially pressures Ducky not only into staying out later, but to also checking out one of the most ominous houses in existence. Now, immediately after seeing this house, it's pretty obvious that there won't be anything positive in store for our characters, but I still wasn't exactly sure what to expect. Now, in the house, we are introduced to a group of animals that almost look robotic in a sense, which honestly adds into like the fear factor. Not to mention, they just look sketchy in general, like the sketchiest bunch of characters I have ever seen, especially the pumpkin rabbit. Now, by this point, I'm just wanting Tammy and Ducky to book it out of there, but instead they get their photo taken by one of the characters as the pumpkin rabbit explains that they like to take pictures of their guests every year so they don't forget them. Something else I want to add really quickly is the fact that the pumpkin rabbit has one of the most creepiest voices I have ever heard. It's like a mixture of raspy and quiet, and not trying to say anything negative about Russian accents because I'm not even 100% sure if this is the accent that this character has, but all of those things combined together, oh my gosh, it just made me very uncomfortable. But anyway, after they get their photo taken, we get to see some of the photos from the past visitors, and the fact that the pictures go from being in black and white to gradually being developed with color tells me that these characters have been up to no good for a very long time. And immediately this goes from just like creepy neighbors in the neighborhood to something much more monstrous, something much more sinister. And to make matters worse, at the beginning of this short film, just after the title sequence finishes, we see a flyer for a missing child named Billy. And wouldn't you know, Billy was also featured on the wall of previous guests that have visited the mysterious house. So if Billy has visited the mysterious house and yet is still missing, where exactly is he then? Now, this is something that we will end up finding out later in the video, and let me tell you, it isn't good. So Ducky, yet again being the voice of reason, suggests that the two should be getting home, but unfortunately Ducky is yet again pressured and persuaded, this time by the pumpkin rabbit, to stay the night at the mysterious house. What? I don't know, okay. Now, by this point, I'm pulling my hair out in frustration because everything about this is screaming stranger danger. This entire short film pretty much raised my blood pressure because the amount of danger that these two characters put themselves in is overwhelmingly ridiculous. The thing about this sort of thing, and by this sort of thing, I mean children trick-or-treating alone and then ending up inside like strangers' homes, yeah, is very possible, and I know this because as a preteen, my friends and I have done this multiple times. Yeah, multiple times. And fortunately for us, a demonic pumpkin rabbit wasn't on the other side of the door, but had there been something like this shown to me around that age, I could guarantee you that it would have definitely done a good job of keeping me away from doing dumb things like that in the first place. But anyway, now our characters are stuck further within the mysterious house, and after Ducky leaves the room where they're sleeping, a curious and concerned Tammy also leaves to try to find them. While watching a short film like this one, it can be really hard not to victim blame, but don't, because victim blaming is never the cool kid thing to do. But all I could think internally was, how in the world did you guys let yourselves get into a situation like this? And I hope that you know peer pressure will lead to the end of you both. But externally, I sat and watched as Tammy made their way through the house, nervously searching for their friend. Something that caught my attention in this moment was the picture of the duo already being blown up and framed on the wall, and then there is another close-up shot of a different photo of the two where Ducky is no longer standing next to Tammy, which we would find out to be foreshadowing for the current situation that the two are in. But going back to Tammy, we see them run into one of these animatronic looking characters standing very menacingly in the corner of a room, and honestly I'm not even really able to make out who this is exactly because they look very shadowed and disheveled. Now, one of the scariest parts of this short film was this character slowly and silently following Tammy through the house due to the antagonizing anticipation that came with not knowing when Tammy would be captured or harmed by this lurking figure. As Tammy follows Ducky's voice, the more nervous I become because by this time, I'm sure that Tammy is being lured into certain danger. When Tammy finally catches up to the voice, an image of Ducky without their costume flashes on the screen, and for a moment, I mean the smallest of moments, I think that maybe this character is alive and well somewhere, until it's quickly revealed that Ducky, along with the other children we saw in the pictures earlier, are no longer themselves. Now, I say no longer themselves because I don't know what I was looking at exactly. It kind of looked as if these characters had been skinned or something. Their bodies were sitting there bloodied and limped as they had eyes and teeth that were not their own. Ducky looked completely altered from their original state, almost as if they were mutilated, now looking deformed. The pumpkin rabbit is revealed to be the one doing this to these children. Surprise, surprise, are you? I'm not. And they don't seem to be very happy about Tammy walking in on them. Now, I do also want to point out the fact that the music playing during this scene, along with the static and the creepy voice of the pumpkin rabbit, solidified this short being one of the creepiest analog horror videos I have ever seen. But anyway, Tammy confronts the pumpkin rabbit about what they have seen, and at this point in the video, I feel completely hopeless about the outcome of this character's fate. The pumpkin rabbit obviously isn't happy about Tammy wandering around the house, and because of this, they tell Tammy that they will be punished for being a naughty child. Unfortunately, it seems that every guest who visits the mysterious house will be faced with the same deadly outcome. Something that I didn't quite understand was what was happening to these characters exactly. Why is the pumpkin rabbit and the other characters doing this? With how long this tradition has been going on, are these characters somehow extending their life through consuming these children, like a life force or something? Are these children being used for body modifications for the pumpkin rabbit and their other housemates? The mystery of it all definitely does add into the creepiness, but it also would have been really cool if we got more information on why this was happening. Barry and Smell Inc. mentioned the similarities between The Mysterious House and The Hunt Among the Green, and after watching The Mysterious House, I understand why they made this comparison. Although I do love analog horror, I'm not very knowledgeable about this genre of animation, meaning I'm not exactly sure if this sort of analog horror that mimics children's television is a popular subgenre or if The Kid and the Camera, as well as The Hunt Among the Green, was inspired by works like The Mysterious House. Both of these series definitely do dwell into the horrific outcomes of not practicing proper safety precautions like saying no to peer pressure and stranger danger. Although they are obviously dramatized, I feel like they could definitely still work as PSA videos because there are some pretty wacky PSA videos out there. We also see that both of these examples start off in a very wholesome-like manner, I guess, and take a very dark turn into something gut-wrenchingly morbid, which always makes for a very uncomfortable but enjoyable watch in my opinion. After watching all three of these videos, I will say that in my personal opinion, The Mysterious House has to be my favorite, only because of how scared it made me. The thing is, the way that these two creators go about presenting horror in their creations is very different, although they do share certain qualities. One was built around a lot of anticipation, it seems, while the other went all out with disturbing imagery. I do want to say that both of these creators did an amazing job of capturing the beauty of analog horror through their work, because I don't think I will be forgetting about any of these videos anytime soon. And that pretty much wraps up this video. I want to give another special thanks to Barry and Smell Inc. for this recommendation. I really enjoyed it. Also, don't forget, if you have a recommendation, feel free to leave it down in my comment section. I am not opposed to checking out whatever it is that you guys want to share with me. Also, if you liked this video, let me know that you did by liking the video, subscribing to my channel, and turning on notifications so you never miss a video in the future. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys on Saturday. Bye!